Up next is Ronda Baldwin Kennedy. She is running for California State Assembly, District 44. We have some hot news from Ronda. Apparently, Charles Grassley has endorsed her campaign. This is just hot off the press. It's important that you spread this good word. This is a strong endorsement for this candidate. We only need 3 seats to hold all others and to get 3 seats in the California State Assembly in order to make sure that the Assembly loses their supermajority and that we are able to be on the strong side of negotiations for more conservative policy. We're going to talk about that a little bit more with Mrs. Ronda Baldwin Kennedy. All right, here she comes. Welcome back to the Erin Cruz Show. We have on with us Ronda Baldwin Kennedy. She's running for Assembly District 44. I'm going to share with you really quick some information I pulled off of her website that you might find handy before you get to go there and check her out yourself and spread the good word about this candidate. She's a strong candidate, by the way. She says that she's a wife and a working mom who believes California has all of the potential to be an amazing place where she can continue to raise her children and where they can build wonderful lives for themselves. You know, this is where it's at, folks. You know, we can all have education and a career and everything else, but it all comes down to the family. Rhonda says, quote, California has lost its way due to the decisions being made on a daily basis by our representatives. I am running because we should no longer be near to the bottom of the nation when it comes to education and quality of life, while only leading the country in high taxes and poverty, end quote. Ronda Baldwin Kennedy is an attorney and a small business owner and says she has seen regulations that are keeping local employers from having successful businesses in California. If that isn't truth, I don't know what is. She also says that the cost of doing business in California continues to rise, which we all know, and the tax and spend philosophy in Sacramento does not represent the hardworking people in Ventura County. We also know that too. California is becoming unaffordable, she says, for working families and impossible for our children. Again, this is where it's at. For our children to be able to plan a future here. Welcome to the show, Rhonda.
Thank you. Thank you, Erin. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Absolutely. I mean, we have an opportunity here. You're brilliant. You're a mother. You're a career woman. You're an attorney. And you're fed up. And you're running for office. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for especially your constituents. What got you involved in politics in the first place, besides, you know, being concerned for your family?
Yes. Well, you know, it's kind of in my blood. My great-grandfather was actually the first African-American assemblyman for Wisconsin. So he kind of paved the way for me. He was introducing and writing civil rights bills back in the 40s. And he was working bipartisan to get those bills passed and through the legislature, which they did and became law. And so it's in my blood. I believe that if you have to do something. You can't just complain. You have to be proactive. And
right.
I can't complain about taxes and business regulations unless I'm ready to get in there and do something about it. And
right.
That's exactly what I did.
And it's just wonderful. So how is the campaign going so far? How are your constituents responding?
Well, I'm getting a lot of support. I mean, it's surprising. For the primary, I got close to 46% in the primary.
Wonderful.
And yes, and I spent $4,000 in the primary. My opponent spent $144,000 in the primary, and yet, you know, I got 46% of the vote, close to it.
And you have a strong margin. I mean, that's a strong margin.
Yeah.
Now,
and on top of that,
go ahead. No, go ahead. No.
On top of that, just 2 weeks ago, the third candidate, who's a Democrat, endorsed me instead of my opponent, who's a Democrat. So.
Right. Why? what makes you believe that there's a reason why that happened the way it did?
Because I'm not divisive. I am so tired of the divisiveness, not only in California, but throughout the country. And I'm like, we're all Americans. We're all Californians. Stop dividing our nation.
Period.
It's
end of
period.
story. Just
End
stop.
Of story.
Let's
Work
get to
together.
business.
Exactly. I say it's not the Bloods and the Crips. It's not the Reds and the Blues. We're all American. Let's work together.
It's not the D's, the R's, the I's, the L's, the anythings. It's that
exactly.
We are Americans. We have problems. We need strong solutions and people to take care of business. So
yes.
Where do you stand on the policies, on the issues currently in your district, as opposed to the incumbent?
Well, let's just say she voted for the gas tax. That's SB1. That's a war on working class families. She voted for
I love
SB 54.
That is a war on working class families.
It is. And she voted for SB 54, which is making California a sanctuary state, which I know they feed all this line of, illegal immigrants are afraid to report crimes because they're illegal. That's not true. As an attorney, I know the options. There's a thing called the U visa. If you are a victim of a crime and you report it, you can apply for a U visa and get status. So why wouldn't you want to report that crime? So they pull at your heartstrings, and they know California. They think we need the sanctuary state.
But they don't even talk about what that what SB 54, what that new law and what it does, because the talking points don't even touch base even close to what the reality is, which means that they're lying to Californians in an effort to divide, rather than just explain, okay, well, when somebody's caught, does time for a crime, we go to release them, we have to communicate with the Fed.
Exactly. It's like, and I don't understand.
It's real simple.
It's simple. Not about, you're not a racist.
And it's not about lawful people or people who are coming here because of humanitarian issues or still haven't reported for DACA or other things. These are people who've actually committed crimes. On our soil. Besides jumping a fence.
Exactly. We're not anti-immigration. We're
legal
not
immigration.
Racist.
Right.
Yes, we're about legal immigration, and if you're here illegally, it's not about going up and rounding them up. This is just about, if you commit a crime, report it like you're supposed to.
Right.
And now on top of that, they coupled that with SB 10.
Right.
So California is no longer is a cash bail state.
Right.
So now we're gonna let criminals out on the street. So
more
now we have
so than we already are. Because it's just really rampant with what Jerry Brown and like you say, those divisive Democrats have done in their legislating. They're not listening to both sides. They're not actually looking at the needs of the lawful people. They're just catering to certain groups. So I'm glad to hear that you have such a strong margin. We need good candidates in office. Where do you stand? I know this isn't necessarily a state issue because immigration, let's go back a little bit further. Immigration is a hot topic, but it's really a national security issue, and immigration laws are federal. They cover all 50 states. It's just that California has taken the position that they're going to stand in one place or another on those laws, so to speak. Just to put it simply, you're an attorney, you can point out all the facts and what have you. But really, what I'm wondering is, these Democrats, or shall I say progressive left people up in Sacramento, are dividing the people and standing against the federal government and enforcing laws here in the state, which put us all at risk. So you're not in my district, obviously, but what you do in Sacramento affects my life. So where do you stand on supporting federal immigration laws as they currently are and in future, and that?
Well, I can say that as an attorney, I took an oath to abide by the Constitution, both the state and the federal. And our Constitution and our laws. And it's a waste of time and money it's just showing. It's just showboating. And California is going to lose, and we're going to get the legal bill, because we're paying for this lawsuit. If you've ever been involved in a lawsuit before, and I know my bills, I send them out. So it's the federal, the feds are prosecuting, the state is defending, and who's getting the bill? The taxpayers on both sides, federal and state. It's ridiculous. Stop showboating. Let the feds do their job.
Now, if there were actual legitimate reason to do so, I could somewhat understand. But immigration is a federal issue. There should be no argument. If the Democrats or the progressive left want immigration reform, they should make some of those deals that have been offered to them, right, on the federal level, and work it that way instead of wasting taxpayer dollars. Where do you stand, say, on, I know we're going to kind of shift a little bit, but you're a mom. Yeah. And where do you stand on two issues which mean a lot to a lot of different people, mean a great deal to them? One is homeschooling or school choice and vouchers. The other is mandated vaccination. Where do you stand on those two issues?
Well, vouchers and homeschooling, I'm for it. I have 5-year-old triplets that just started school.
Your hands are full. Check out those photos online, folks. She has a beautiful family.
Yeah, they just started kindergarten. They did TK, but I want to pull them out.
Right.
It's like the schools and the administration and the teachers, they think they know best about my children, or how to educate them, and behavior problems. First, they separated the three. I told them, you're going to have an issue with my son. He's never been separated from his sisters. They did it anyway. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, Liam's not listening. I was like, of course not. I told you this was going to happen. And I'm thinking about actually pulling them out and putting them in private school. And it's like, why should I have to spend $30,000 to put them in a school that I prefer when, public school is right there? Tax dollars are going to support that school. Why can't I pull those dollars and put them in the school that I choose?
Right. Or actually even offering opportunities to be able to choose. I mean, there really isn't much of anything in terms of those kinds of solutions. The other thing is, just fix the schools. Spend the money wisely, which we're giving you. And, on a federal level, and this wouldn't pertain to you necessarily, but the issue of the Department of Education and everything there, all the funds that are going there as opposed to the states and the local levels.
Exactly. And get qualified, not just qualified, I should say, because, they're intelligent. Get people who are more on a not a superiority type of attitude, because that's what I find in a lot of the administration. And like you said, I'm an attorney. It shouldn't take me acting as an attorney for my children to get things done properly.
Well, it's a concern. You're the mother. You know best. They are not parents. And I think the state has overstepped its bounds on that level, and why that might be why a lot of times people put their children in private schools.
Which is what I'm looking into.
Relationship between the parent and the teacher and the child, and the teacher's respect that they are not the teacher. I mean, they are not the at-home teacher. They're not the parent. They're the educator. They're the encourager and motivator for that platform, which helps set up children in life and in their future, but not at home. I mean, that's where the meat and potatoes comes in, and as far as our children goes, the value systems, because right now our education system seems to be pushing agenda.
Yes.
And politics, and that really, aside from a history book or civics classes, that should be it. That's my 2 cents as a mother. But thank you for weighing in on that. And then to the vaccination issue, so I'm not sure how concerned people are in your area, but I know it's been a hot topic around the state.
It's a big issue in my area, and I could say that I feel that that's between a parent and their doctor, whether or not a child should be vaccinated. Um, I've had personal experience with that. I had my first son passed away from SIDS when he was 2 months old.
Hmm.
And, to this day, I believe it was the vaccinations. He was fine until he got his vaccinations. And I actually did some digging and research. I had a friend that was a doctor that traced his batch back, and it was an issue with the batch of vaccinations that he did receive. I mean, as a mom, I did that investigation, even read the autopsy report and had someone else look over it. And that's, and I feel that should have been a choice between, a parent and their doctor as to each individual child. It shouldn't be forced on each child.
Right.
So I believe
I'm
in
so
choice.
sorry to hear of that situation, but it's, on the other hand, it's a good testimony and a testament to your parenting also, that there are these struggles and they're very personal and it can affect anybody.
Yes.
And as
Yes,
a legislator in the legislature, you would be helping to draft future laws, and knowing that you have certain connections, it's important. It's important that you can express that to people, because not everybody has your same experience, and perspective. Now,
Yes.
about the vaccinations too, that's also I believe on a federal level should be addressed, because that's a national security issue, and that's part of the illegal alien breach issue. So it's not, the burden shouldn't just be put on the state in terms
Exactly.
of, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. I did bring that point up because I know it's a touchy subject. However, with legal immigration comes medical checks.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and a lot of things that a lot of childhood diseases that have been eradicated are coming back because they're not being screened. A lot of
Right.
people are coming over without being screened properly.
Right.
And
right.
that's
And
something that should be dealt with on a federal level.
Yeah, and it's a concern, and it's costing the states a lot of money. And I say the state and the Fed, but really it costs us money, the
Yes.
taxpayer money, and it puts our families and future generations at risk. What we want is safety and security and stability.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear you're open to conversation and that you have that perspective. Now, where do you stand in terms of infrastructure and water? I know this might catch you off guard, but I really I'm a Californian, and I'm concerned that I know we can get water. I know we have some water. We have water storage issues and infrastructure issues. And where do you stand on solutions?
I stand on, we have a large body of water. It's called the Pacific Ocean. And I don't know why we're not investing more in desalination.
Okay.
Other countries do it, and we're leading in technology. I don't know why we can't do it.
Right.
And we should start investing and putting money there instead of, other programs that Jerry Brown and his gang like to take our tax
Charging us
dollars
for
and invest in
runoff
them.
off of our roofs.
Yes.
Into the gutter.
Restricting water, 55 gallons. Like, come on now.
Right.
Who's going to enforce that?
Right. They flush the bay. Yeah, the enforcement sometimes, the regulations are like a pre-tax, right? So they go in and they're pretty much charging us before they even get anywhere with the laws. But, they flush the bay, the San Francisco Bay, how many times a year? They spend a lot of water and effort and energy and money and resources in other ways. Why can't we also put families first? Make sure that our farmers have water. Make sure that that we have access. If we want to water our lawn, we can buy water. Why not?
Right.
So
exactly.
It comes back to capitalism and consumer issues. So I think that you have a vision and a focus that's unique with your familial history, with, you mentioned your family member who paved the way for you as an African American. I mean, you're an African American woman. I mean, how has this perspective led you in your race for assembly? I mean, do people really look at that? I hate identity politics. I hate people. I ran for office. Oh, you're a woman. You have this. You have that. I hate identity politics. But how has it impacted you?
It's impacted me both in a positive and a negative way. More so it's people look at me and they assume that I'm a Democrat. And
Really?
I'm like, well, yes, because I guess if you're a woman of color, you have to be a Democrat. And
Another lie of the left?
yes. Yes. So I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. Well, how long have you been a Republican? Well, since I could register to vote. Well, why would you want to be a Republican? Because I think for myself and I look at history and I can judge for myself which party I'd stand with. Now, I'm an individual. So, of course, to say that you agree with everything that Republicans do, it's just, that's just insane. You never agree with it. You're married, or, I don't ever agree with everything that my husband does, but, I love him and support him. And that's the same thing it is with my party. And for Democrats to think that, they believe in everything that the Democrats do, well, they're just fooling themselves. And I think you should choose your party that best align with your beliefs. And if you agree with everything, that's, probably not going to be likely. But if you do, that's fine. And if you don't, it's okay.
So are you okay? Because on a very basic level, Republican values is less tax, less regulation, and, reduced size and scope of government. Are you for those three things?
Yes, I'm for those three things, but that's just an ideology. I'm for those three things, but how you get there is a different story. And I don't agree all the time with how we get there. There's certain, for example, I'll give you a quick example. There was a bill here in California that all the Republicans and my Democrat opponent voted against. And this bill would have taken anyone that's under the age, that's a minor, that was arrested for prostitution. They would be sent to DCFS, which is like CPS in California, because it's child abuse. They would be sent to DCFS for investigation and to get help, not prosecuted criminally. Me, being in the justice system and as an attorney, I would have voted for that. That makes more sense. They're children. They're victims. Why is a 13-year-old out there prostituting themselves, or a 16-year-old? They should be helped, not prosecuted. And so that's something that I would have not voted against. And I've actually had these conversations with the Republican Assembly and explained this, and they said, well, that makes sense. Well, you should have been here. And I said, well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get there to make sense of some of these.
These pieces of legislation are so hot and on fire. And
yes.
There's a lot to them. They're very loaded. And you see oftentimes some assemblymen, they won't vote for a bill. Or, they'll just say, no, I'm not going to go yes or no. I'm just going to abstain pretty much. And, we need really strong people who can articulate why you do that. Why did you vote yes? Why did you vote no? Or why did you decide to vote present? And articulate it, because the people, we're not dumb. You know that. You're a regular person too. We're not stupid, but we don't like somebody to try to pull the wool over our eyes. Just be transparent about your positions and why. And I think a lot of that comes with education and outreach to your community that you serve. And my hope would be that if you are elected, or when you are elected, that you would communicate well with your constituents about the specific issues, because these bills are so loaded. You don't want to
Yes.
vote yes on something when it might have a piece in there that's not good. You don't want to vote no on something when it might, I mean, it goes every which way. And it's extremely important that we have somebody who understands the balance of these things, and I'm glad you're communicating with the California Republican Party. That's important as well. We're getting ready to wrap up here, but what I'd really like to have you do is repeat your name, a little bit about your platform, and where people can get involved in your campaign with time, talent, and treasure.
Okay. My name again is Ronda Baldwin Kennedy. That's Ronda with no H. And my website is rbk4ca.com. And they can go to my website and sign up to volunteer. And my platform is mostly just trying to unite California. Getting the Republican assemblies elected. Not just myself, but it's very important. This is how crucial it is. We need 3 seats in the assembly to break the supermajority. That's all we need.
Right.
And I want Republicans to think about that. It's not hopeless. We have hope. 3 seats and we can break the supermajority.
Absolutely.
And then once we break the supermajority, we'll work on the majority. But
right.
We have a lot of Republicans that think it's helpless. Like, we'll never take the assembly. We don't need to take the assembly, just 3 seats. So, and I wanted to stress too, it's when Republicans are talking to other Democrats, let's feel them out, because the far left is so left that they are chasing moderate Democrats right over to our side. So
right.
Talk to them. Talk about the gas tax, repealing the gas tax. Talk to them about crime. Their families too.
Right.
Their husbands, their wives, their families. Talk to them on a basic level, not just on a political level, but on basic levels, and we can win them over. So I think that's very important, because I'm about not just helping myself, but helping the races across the state, because it's very crucial we get those 3 seats.
Absolutely, it is, and more. And I think communication, you mentioned, is so vital. Well, thank you so much again for being on the Erin Cruz Show and being a guest of ours. We're going to make sure and continue to help you in any way we can. Our listeners right now, they're going to check your website. Hopefully many of them volunteer throughout the state, and engage with Rhonda. Ask her questions. If you don't believe the same views or have the same views, ask her, talk to her. So thank you again, Rhonda, for coming on the Erin Cruz Show. God bless you.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com.